Hello everyone, and welcome to another episode in the series Expert Talks. Today's talk is the second part of a two-part mini-series called Revolutionizing Education with Blockchain Technology. If you joined us last week, you will know how amazing the conversation was and why we had to extend to a second part as we were just scratching the surface. As you know, XpertTalx is an interactive podcast series where we invite experts from the world of digital HR and learning, both regionally and internationally. And today's focus is here in the region. There are no sales pitches, death by PowerPoint or product demos, just some great casual conversations to inform our HR, learning and tech ed community. For those of you today who have joined us live, please feel free to ask your questions during the session in the comments section and stay around until the end where we can get your feedback from a quick survey. Last week, we spoke about the many utilizations for blockchain, specifically in our industry for HR talent and education. And it seemed to amaze people from the community and they wanted to learn more. And today we have a special guest, and he really is a true technology education leader. And it's my great pleasure to introduce Dr. Sreejit Chakrabarty. And good day to you, Sreejit. How are you?
I'm very well. How are you doing today?
I'm super excited to speak to you today. And before we start, maybe you could just introduce who you are, what you do, and who you work for.
Sure. So my name is Dr. Sreejit Chakrabarty, and I work for GEMS Education, and I'm based out of GEMS Dubai American Academy, which is the flagship American school and more of the pilot school where we take on all projects which is kind of paving the road for technology integration and education. I kind of manage integration of technology and, of course, also foreseeing what are the technologies that are upcoming and in the horizon, and try to find out educational uses out of those and design pathways and curriculum around it as well.
That sounds fantastic. And I guess really today we're here to focus on the blockchain. So how did you start with blockchain, and why? Why did you really start?
Yeah, so this conversation started almost like 5 years back when we wanted to look into like what are the upcoming skill sets that the workforce will require, and what is the technology that they're going to be working on once once our students graduate from our schools. So blockchain and the world of Web3 is something that was an upcoming talk at the time. But during COVID, that really accelerated. And post-COVID right now, we see a lot of companies across all industries have beginning conversations about blockchain and the metaverse and the Web3. So that really propelled our vision and our drive towards make sure that as a company, as a school, we use blockchain technology for varied purposes that we will discuss, but also to educate our student and staff as to what these technology is all about. And we don't want them to be experts about them, but at least to have awareness so that whatever fields they go into, they are aware of the technology that they're going to be working on. So it's kind of like keeping them ahead of the game.
And I guess really, you've obviously kind of experimented with this, and you'll obviously it's something new and challenging. And most people see blockchain associated with crypto. So tell us a little bit about what are you doing then? How are you using blockchain, and how do you get the benefits from blockchain, and then how that is different to normal software, let's say, for example.
Yeah, I think it's very true when you said that people relate blockchain with cryptocurrency, and that's the biggest myth out there. Cryptocurrency is just one small part of the universe that is going to be running on the blockchain in the future, I guess. But for us, we always look at the educational side of it and what are the benefits of using a blockchain technology and how we as educators and how as an education company can utilize that. So definitely there are multiple use cases that we are looking into at the moment. First is, of course, gamification, because blockchain can enable us to tokenize and have a reward system associated with all the learning activities that we do. Apart from that, definitely personalized learning is something which is very exciting. And for us, with the help of blockchain and all the industry partners that work in this sector to create self-driven, self-analyzing personal learning pathways for students is something which is very exciting for us. And it can be customized to each student's needs. And finally, the biggest is our vision of creating digital credentials on the blockchain for our students. So wherein a student from K all the way till 12 would have all their smart badges, their mini credentials, micro credentials, degrees, all housed in their blockchain wallet, which will be decentralized and portable, secure, and also easily verifiable. So those are the biggest advantages that blockchain provides us, and that is what we are looking to hone on with these projects that we are starting.
So what makes it different to, because some of the things that you talk about there are, they're available in software, and there's a lot of large tech businesses that can make that all of those kind of features work. Where do you see blockchain? Now, you did mention decentralized. Maybe you can kind of expand on what that means to our listeners back at home.
Yeah, surely. So one big aspect of the stuff that we deal with on a day-to-day basis is a lot of crucial and critical data, right? So a movement of data and data privacy is something that we need to really be careful about. So blockchain is something that really solves that problem for us because everything is decentralized. And when I say decentralized, I try to address the fact that sometimes we kind of remove the human element from it so that the decision-making process is not biased, because a human at the end of the day could be biased. So if there's a human element, or if there's a personal server or a computer that is handling the data or the digital credentials for a student, which is the case with any other software, there's always the possibility of going there, tampering it, moving it around, deleting it. So there's always the human element. So putting it on a blockchain removes that and makes it completely secure and basically decentralizes the entire process. So even if there's a small update that needs to be done, it's on the blockchain, so it's secure and it's easily verifiable if the data is tampered with or if it's genuine.
So you can, so those credentials can be kind of automated within the system without people. Of course, you need administration, but essentially it's kind of almost self-automated, a bit more kind of artificial intelligence, if you will. And tell me a little bit about, you've got the students, you've got the teachers, you've got the parents. Tell me a bit how you getting everybody involved in this, in this whole kind of new technology.
Yeah, so there is a multiple way we are targeting this. First is, of course, we prioritize our students because we want them to have these skill sets. And it's not just we're targeting high school students, we want them to get those juices flowing right away from kindergarten, have, work around with concepts like what is a token and what is a decentralization and all those ideas. And so one thing that we have devised is a workshop. It's almost like a boot camp that we do on blockchain and the metaverse that spans around 2 days. And we do it with the elementary students, right? Those who are below grade 5 students. And we also involve the middle school students. And they learn about these concepts of all blockchain, which is decentralization, tokenization, nodes, and security, secure servers, but without the use of computers. It's completely unplugged. So we do activities wherein maybe they're baking a cake or they're warming up a cup of coffee. But the process that they're doing is teaching them the concept that lies behind one of the concepts, right? So that's what we are targeting in the middle and elementary schools. For higher schools, we have a dedicated subject that we have written and introduced on blockchain, and that is kind of complementing our curriculum that we have developed on artificial intelligence, wherein blockchain was one of the units, but now it is a dedicated curriculum that we have offered to our high school students as well. And the third part of it is our industry connections, where we are reaching out to companies working in the technologies to not only provide us with solutions, but also the expertise to our students so that our students will get to know that the stuff that they're learning in the classroom is actually being implemented in the workforce right now, right? So that connect is very important for us. So We reach out to our partner companies and ask them to help us in giving us access to their software engineers, access to their experts to give us some kind of mentorship lessons or even internships if our students are interested. So those are the kind of connections we like to do. And finally, you said about parents. So I mean, that's the tricky part, right? We really want our parents to be on our side, and that happens only when they realize the importance and the benefit that any particular technology brings to the table. And
Right.
it's also important for them to realize that we are not just talking about creating the citizens of today, but the citizens of tomorrow. Especially
Sure.
living in a city like Dubai, where we say that this is the city of the city of the future.
Mm.
So it is more so on us to create the citizens of the future. So have them prepared for what they are going to face. And so what we do is we have parent coffee mornings, wherein we get the parents together and we showcase them what we are teaching their students. And if there's new technology, like we did a session on ChatGPT where we showcase the parents as to what our views is on ChatGPT and how we are embracing it and how we are using it in education. And same thing for blockchain as to what is actually blockchain, what is the technology all about, and how it can benefit your students, but also how it can benefit you as an industry worker in your place of work. So that's the kind of relation we want to keep, like keeping our parents abreast with what we are thinking of in terms of technology.
And so you're educating all these at different levels, these different sort of stakeholders at different levels. And,
Right.
and obviously, you'll find that the students, I assume, are kind of already involved. So they're familiar with, non-fungible tokens and things like this, and the gamification element of kind of winning things. So talk a little bit about that and how the students you feel, because you mentioned something I think is really important, in education today, that there needs to be that connection with what's happening in the real world. And, you talked about metaverse and how that kind of connected. I mean, I assume that we don't know what, the kind of roles that are going to be, available in the future. Are you finding that a lot of the students are already there? It's easy for them to kind of adopt, where it's harder for some of the teachers. Let's take the teachers, for example.
100%. I mean, students are so up to the mark these days, even though if they're not aware of the technology, but they know it exists, and it's onto us to kind of educate them into, what is it all about, right? So the benefits of it, but also the pitfalls. And that's where our training sessions, our PD sessions that we do with the teachers first, so that if any question comes up to the teachers, they are aware of how to answer them. And we always encourage our teachers to say no if they don't know anything, and give the ownership of the research back to the student. And we always are there as an innovation team to help them out to dig deep and make further connections to our industry partners, if that is something that they're really interested in, and we can make that loop uh, close for them. So I think that's very interesting, the phase that we are as educators right now, because our education system is changing, but our industrial system outside is rapidly changing, right? So the rate at which they both are changing is not same. So we have to take initiatives as a school first and then as a network to make sure that all the stakeholders, the students, the parents, and the teachers are aware of the technology that is currently having an impact. And blockchain is already having an impact right now. And we talk about the future, but it is the present right now. We just had the World Blockchain Summit going on actually yesterday and today.
Yeah.
So that is something which is very, very interesting to make sure that our students and our parents and our teachers are aware of these things exist. So our approach is a open book, open mind approach. It's not that, okay, this is what blockchain is and this is what you need to do. This is the task you have to complete. We do not want to limit them with the challenges that we give them. We ask them to do their own research, come up with problem statements, come up with something that they have seen on the news, for example, and dig deep into it. What is it all about? What is an NFT? How to make an NFT? And these all conversations has kind of made it possible for us as a school to have a NFT competition wherein our students have converted their artwork into NFTs, and we hold a
Right.
mock auction wherein the students have managed to sell their NFTs. So that is one
Fantastic.
of the examples that we want to do to showcase. And secondly, we are also working with, as I said, the companies, EduChain being one of the companies we are working with on digital credentials on the blockchain.
Mm.
So one of the agreements that we have with them is to give access to their engineers to come to our AI and blockchain lessons and showcase how they are using the topics that the students are learning, but implementing it in the real world and solving real world problems. So
Right.
that connection is what is very important for us.
And tell me a little bit about kind of some of the challenges. I mean, you obviously early adapters to this, and that's fantastic that you have the kind of R&D capabilities. But what do you see where the challenges are, or where are the guys going? I'm not sure about this stuff. Is that happening to you a lot, and how do you overcome those sort of challenges?
Yeah, I mean, and that's the case with any technology that we are implementing, right? If it's a emerging technology, more so. But blockchain in general, I think some of the challenges could be what we feel is scalability, and I feel we need to find a way forward wherein the systems and the processes that we implement should be able to handle the data that we provided, right?
Right.
So the transactional volume, the data, and all those things, the processing time, all of these, the scalability, the infrastructure with the IT is something that needs to be, given a priority. And
Sure.
also, schools need to start thinking about having a budget line to equip themselves to be able to handle these technologies, right? That is
Right.
one thing. And the second one is obviously the privacy concerns, because the data that is there on the blockchain is a very critical data. Sometimes we have student data, sometimes we have the educational data, non-educational data. There's lots of data that is there. So ensuring enhanced and appropriate privacy technologies are there in place for this to
Mm.
be secure.
Mm.
And finally is the adoption and the integration part of it, wherein as a school, we cannot make this successful in a silo. It needs to be adopted in multiple schools as a network, as a
Mm.
geographical location, and eventually across the board for making this successful. And not only K-12, this is where our decentralization and the fact that we are using our credentials on a blockchain wallet comes into the picture, where we can connect them straight away to higher education. And
Right.
when higher education and even industries, they start acknowledging and accepting these credentials without the need for attestation and all the red tape around it, that is
Mm.
what makes this successful.
Mm. So you really need a lot more collaboration. And you talked really about kind of scalability with the infrastructure for blockchain. And that kind of leads me into, there's obviously a cost of any infrastructure. I mean, how do you look at, ROI? Because again, a lot of our kind of, followers will be interested in, well, it's going to cost this, and how do I get that, ratio gearing, 1 to X dollars spent, it gets this return. How do you look at that from that sort of philosophy?
Yeah, I think there's a twofold approach to this, because there's no correct answer to this, right? So we can definitely look at a dollar ROI. What is the monetary ROI that we are looking at? And definitely, we have to have a long-term vision on this. There's no immediate return, because it never is with any implementation of technology, and it shouldn't be the focus. But definitely streamlining the record-keeping process, right? Sharing of
Mhm.
the data, credentialing process.
Mm.
All of these can be taken care of by blockchain. So that kind of immediately gives you a ROI in terms of monetary value, in terms of what are the problems blockchain is solving at the moment.
Mm.
But more important to that than that for us is the enhanced reputation, the soft advantages of implementing this, right? As a school, as a brand, it showcases that we are adopting technology, we are abreast with what is happening in the outside world. So that kind of enhances the reputation as a school,
Mm.
and gives that kind of confidence in the parents' mind that okay, the school is really forward thinking and future focused, rather than
Mm.
just teaching about concepts of technology. They're also implementing it in their day-to-day life. So that is something we consider as a ROI, is the soft power that the school
Right.
is kind of.
So from both sides, so the hard factual dollar price, and then the other sort of incidental value adds. So I guess really, you're really breaking the mold here. And, I said we wanted to continue this conversation, but I'm also thinking that you need a network, a support network. And again, without getting too political, how do you think it's accepted from kind of ministry level and country level? And how well do you feel that you're supported and aligned, to those kind of values? Because you're obviously going to get, dare I say, the old school, educators that say, oh, wait a minute, we've always done this. We know there's new technology, but we need to be, controlling this, or, we don't need that autonomy, or it just doesn't need to be student-led or whatever. How are you finding that from a challenge perspective?
Yeah, I think, again, there are two folds to this. One is on an institutional level, when we are adopting such a technology, where does the buck stop, right? So who makes those decisions, whether and how to issue these digital credentials on the blockchain? So at the end of the day, there is a human involvement, right? But once the data is on the blockchain, then we need to make sure that it is tamper-proof and it is kind of decentralized. So that part is something which can be critical and crucial and controversial sometimes, because, as you said, coming from an educational industry, education in general, the industry itself doesn't rapidly innovate. They want to, but the pace of adoption of new technology is kind of at a slower pace than any other industries. So it's more about educating the policyholders and the decision makers and the senior leadership team, rather than just deploying a solution, right? So once that information, that education surpasses the entire ecosystem and the entire domain of education and higher education, I think everyone will agree to and come to a consensus that this is what needs to be done. Now, talking from the geographical and the government point of view and the
Yes.
policy point of view from the countries and the cities, right now, because the technology is so nascent, it is being adopted in silos. So
Yes.
even when we see multiple government agencies adopting blockchain technologies, there is no one uniform blockchain platform that sometimes they're using. So that is something which is probably going to change in the future, in my opinion, and we will have one consensus in that. So that makes it easier once there is one tangible fabric which is kind of foolproof and proved to be working. The confidence in the technology will rise more. And I think it's just about time it's going to happen.
Yeah, and that's a nice sort of kind of round. I'm conscious that we're kind of running out of time again. I can't believe there's so much to talk about. So really appreciate your time today. I guess wrapping up, really, my final question. I'll just kind of look in the chat now. But is you talked a little bit about the future, but I mean, is the future about just adoption now? Do you think from you, is that what you're driving? And tell us a little bit about, kind of where you think it connects to other things, or there's other things that you're looking into in the future.
Yeah, I think when we started the conversation and looking into the future focused and the emerging technologies, and there are so many, right? Artificial intelligence, computing, and quantum computing, nanotechnology, so on and so forth. But what we need to realize is the ecosystem that we are going to live in the future, right? And it's nearing very quickly. So we are moving from the world of Web 2 to Web 3. And all these technologies will reside on Web 3. And once it does, the transportation mechanism of data in the world of Web 3 is going to be blockchain, right? That's the fabric it's going to be based out of. So I think when we learn about blockchain and we implement blockchain first, it's easier for us to adapt to the other technologies that will probably reside on top of it. So I think at the moment where we are right now is the education space rather than the implementation place. Although we are implementing it, but our focus is still on educating it. And that's what we want other schools to do as well, is to start that conversation with your teachers, with your colleagues, with the students, and at least see where the conversation leads to. Is it something that needs to be implemented? If yes, then go ahead and do it. We'll be happily able to share our learning experiences and our pilots that we do, and be happy to share that with the world.
Fantastic. Well, look, unfortunately, we are out of time and don't even have time for for any questions today, but we really appreciate your time.
I'm sorry
Oh,
to
sorry.
interrupt, but there's a question in the
Oh, go ahead.
Q&A chat.
Yeah, go ahead, Elle,
Yeah.
read it out to us.
Yeah, it says it's given you are educating your learners on blockchain through the curriculum you've developed, what would you like to see higher education institutions doing to ensure the blockchain education foundations you've provided continue to build upon?
Yeah, great question.
Yeah, it's a good question. And I think higher education is kind of addressing that at the moment, although they might not have dedicated pathways for someone to specialize in blockchain only, because they have that again as a silo in one of their computing or machine learning or cybersecurity and those kind of learning pathways. But again, I think it's about time they realize that it's already been a huge job prospect in the industries, and they will soon follow, I'm sure. And we are just starting the conversation. We are at a probably very nascent stage right now, and pretty soon we're going to see that courses on blockchain technologies, even degrees and masters, would be up and running very soon. If not, they are already there. I mean, it's changing every day.
Absolutely. It's a fast pace, and that's fantastic. Dr. Sreejit, again, thank you so much for your time. For those of you that have joined us live today, we're just going to drop in a quick survey just to give us some feedback on that. And we'll just give it a minute of that. And Dr. Sreejit, thank you so much again. And we'll see you on the next episode, or one of the episodes in the future, when we're talking about another technology. So thank you.
Absolutely, my pleasure. Thank you for joining me. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Survey link is dropped in the chat, so if you can take 2 minutes to just do the survey, and we'll wind up.
So as we come to close, if you need to learn anything more about the implementation of blockchain in your organization, or you're looking to champion any new HR technology solutions, please feel free to reach out to us. We can drop a link in the comments box for our contact details, but you can follow us through our website and social media channels, so you know what to do there for sure. So whether you joined us here live or you have access to this on a recorded session later, I'd just like to thank you all for your time, and we look forward to seeing you in the next episode of XpertTalx. Thank you and goodbye.